We'll start with each of your 3-minute addresses, which you can do either at your table or you can come to the podium, whichever you prefer. Mr. Spidalieri, I'm going to start with you. So if you don't mind turning on your microphone and getting it in good position so we can hear you, as soon as you start, we'll start the time. Whenever you're ready.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ralph Spidalieri. I've been a Geauga County Commissioner for the last 12 years. I have been serving very proudly, humbly in that position. I bring a whole different dynamic to that office, as I am 33-year police officer. Currently hold position of Chief Deputy with the Portage County Sheriff's Office. Just brings a whole different dynamic as far as what are the crimes, what are the situations we're dealing with that are keeping our county safe. I have the ability of working with our law enforcement here locally, our sheriff, and creating good, solid foundation for us to be able to remain our county residents and taxpayers and our kids safe. I'm also a small business owner in this county, own 2 businesses, been in business for over 25 years. So it gives me a perspective of exactly what it is and what the challenges are for a small business owner in the county, of what they face on a daily basis, whether it's tax challenges, making payroll, dealing with employees, dealing with customers, dealing with all the facets of small business. And all that basically relates back to my position as a county commissioner, to try to work with those people that also face a lot of those same challenges and help to groom them, build them, support them, and make our county that much more stronger for businesses to thrive. So at the end of the day, you ask yourself, what is important to you? Is your safety, your economics, your taxes, the value of your homes, and what keeps all of those things going? What keeps all those going is business, safety, law enforcement within your community, and good government. I've taken our county 12 years ago that we were almost $4.5–5 million in the hole, to a point that we basically are being told by our budget commission that we have to spend it down because we have too much. I don't necessarily agree with that, because we can't predict what the future holds in our county. We're doing great right now. Things could change. We could have all kinds of issues in our future, but we are solid, and I'm proud to say that under a lot of this, that I have been there longest serving commissioner that's currently as county commissioner, that it's been under my watch that I've been able to make those changes. So thank you, and anything else?
Perfect timing. Thank you, Mr. Spidalieri. Ms. McArthur, would you like to? Okay, you just have to bring your microphone if you don't mind. This one's not quite as loud as we would like. And just turn it on at the bottom. As soon as you start.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight, and to the Geauga County League of Women Voters for putting this candidates forum in the guide they produce for all of us voters. My name is Nancy McArthur, and I'm running for County Commissioner in the Republican primary on March 19th. A few reasons why I'm running. The biggest one is that Geauga County residents deserve to have a full-time commissioner working for them, putting Geauga County first. If I'm elected, I will work full-time for you, regularly attend the weekly meetings, as well as board-appointed meetings, not just send a proxy. I will be at many county events as well. In addition, I plan to collaborate with other county elected officials to help solve problems, help to unify our county, keep the county budget and expenditures as low as possible without sacrificing the quality of our services that we as residents here need and want. If elected, I would like to bring back recorded commissioner meetings so that residents know what is happening, and to provide better transparency and communication through our website and possibly a countywide newsletter. I have the experience and the knowledge to get these things done. Most of my adult life, I have worked in the private sector in business banking, business development, human resources, and marketing. My 12 years as a Chardon City Councilman had given me a great background in local government to help manage a budget and work with my peers. As a councilman, I was chair of the committees, these following committees: Finance, where I reviewed our monthly expenditures; the Audit Committee; Legislative Committee, that's right, I was actually a legislator; Economic Development Committee; Charter Review Committee, and I also served for 5 years on Planning Commission. My many years on City Council helped to produce better city services and a host of physical amenities in Chardon, like the Maple Highlands Trail Bike Path, the Heritage House on Chardon Square, and a revitalization district to help restaurants on the square acquire liquor licenses. Being a fiscal conservative, I spearheaded a performance audit which identified about $500,000 a year in savings, most of which we implemented, including adopting some best practices. My strong sense of business, problem solving, and negotiation skills, and my civic duty to make my community better are something that I bring to the table. This is a job interview to hire someone to work for you. This job pays about $87,000 a year, plus benefits and pension. It's a serious job that should not be part-time. If you decide to hire me on March 19th, I will work for you full-time. It's time for a change. Please vote on March 19th. I am Nancy McArthur, running for your county commissioner. My website is votemcarthur.com, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, both of you, right on time, thank you. We received a lot of questions for this race, so I'm just gonna jump right in them, and I'm gonna start with you, Mr. Spidalieri, if you don't mind. Commissioners have appointment authority for many boards and commissions in the county. Would you support a clearly communicated process for appointments, and what would that look like if you do?
We already have a process in place. We do public postings for all of our different board positions. Unfortunately, we do not get an incredible groundswell of people applying, but we've put articles in the newspaper, we've put postings on our website, and those positions are continuously being posted. We just posted one for our planning commission that had been posted since the end of December, and we've had one applicant that applied for it. So as far as our process, we are trying to do the best that we can do with the means that we have, but at the end of the day, there's just a lot of people that just are not really engaged, unfortunately, in politics and into their government process, and it's really hard to get volunteers, and we're seeing it across the board with volunteers in all aspects, less and less and less. So the process is not flawed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. McArthur, same question to you. Commissioners have appointment authority for many boards and commissions in the county. Would you support a clearly communicated process for appointments, and what would that look like?
Yes, so as someone who actually applied for planning commission at one point, and it was a very frustrating experience. I didn't think the form online was very user-friendly. I don't recall how I knew that there was an opening. It might have been through the newspaper, but I think communication could be certainly a lot better. I think the website could be more robust, and I think the people in the commissioner's office that know about these openings could make these things better known to the public. I was never asked if I wanted to be on planning commission, and I've got a lot of experience, and I was not obviously chosen to be that representative, but I certainly had the experience to do so. So I think a lot of it is just communication, making things more apparent, you know, using social media and a lot of other ways to reach people that we don't currently do.
Thank you. Next question, I'm going to start with you, Ms. McArthur. Can you describe the advantages and or disadvantages of Geauga County belonging to NOACA?
Wow, our favorite subject. Well, unfortunately, most of the dollars that come into NOACA are federal dollars, and they're coming back to us. I consider Geauga County a donor county. We send a lot of tax dollars out to the federal government and to the state, and we don't see a lot of it coming back sometimes. So my understanding is in order to receive those federal funds, we have to belong to some type of an NGO, like NOACA. You know, there are some other ones, I think Ashtabula belongs to a different one, but there has to be some kind of vehicle to be able to acquire these funds. And I can tell you on city council when I was there, we applied for, we had a shovel-ready project, and that was the bike path. And I worked on it for 10 years, people. It took a long time. And we had to buy up property, and there were a lot of different steps involved. But, you know, they made that possible. So without NOACA, we wouldn't have the bike path. We wouldn't have a lot of things. But there's some aspects of it that aren't particularly likable, but it's the only thing we have.
Thank you very much.
So my position with NOACA is this: for probably the betterment of almost 11 years, I have taken a, talk about people saying about proxies. NOACA refuses to allow a full representation of the county commissioners in Geauga County and the engineer. So back in probably 2012, 2013, I had a long conversation with our county engineer as far as the majority of what happens in NOACA is supposed to be about our roads. And with the county commission or county engineer, Joe could tell it, we pretty much had an agreement that he would be my voice and he would be my representative. He was not permitted to be able to be represented there. So 3 county commissioners for all 5 of the other counties are represented by their commissioners and their engineer. Because of the population that we have here in Geauga County, they would not allow us to do that. So as far as
Thank you. Okay, we're going to switch topics a little bit, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Spidalieri.
Yes.
Geauga County has cost-sharing agreements with other counties for public health, public transit, juvenile detention, and waste management. How would or should we be measuring the effectiveness of these arrangements in costs and services, and how is this data communicated to residents?
So I think that there's two of the 3 there that you have, or 4 that you've stated, that we really it's too early to know with the Department of Health with Lake Counties and also with our Department of Transportation with Lake County to really give you an honest assessment of that, because it's been less than a year. As far as the solid waste, 100% that is a totally solid relationship that we have with Trumbull County. I don't know how many of you have been up to the new solid waste center that we put up off of behind our new commissioners center there, but we worked very hard to do that, and there is a lot of funding that we are sharing with Trumbull County on that to make that possible. And that was, you know, $1 million plus operation for our residents. And you know, as far as the other one that you had spoke of with the juvenile detention center, every day I say we're wasting money with that. It's a money drain for us.
Thank you. Ms. McArthur, how should we or could we be measuring the effectiveness of these agreements that we have with other counties for cost sharing, public health, public transit, juvenile detention, waste management? So how should we be measuring the effectiveness, and how is data communicated to county residents?
When you say data, what do you?
The effectiveness, like how are we
evaluating
it? Yes, and sharing that with the
I mean, anytime you do these things, you need to have some return on investment, and there has to be accountability. So I'm not against sharing services with other counties as long as there's some benefits to us for cost savings and, you know, quality of service. I don't really know. Again, Commissioner Spidalieri said that, you know, some of these things are too early to know, and these are some questions I've asked as well. Regarding the Board of Health and or regarding you know, Geauga Transit. We don't have a great transit system here, unfortunately, and it's difficult to provide some of those services to people that don't have a car. And then as far as the solid waste, I think that's a great facility. I'm very happy to see that we have that. I don't really know a whole lot about the juvenile detention. I know that it's a joint venture, and you know, so you need to be able to look at some of that data. I don't know who's doing the reporting, but if we're spending more money there and we can do it better ourselves, we should probably do it here.
Thank you. Okay, this is around public comment. So the Open Public Meetings Act, or Sunshine Law, does not require that an official meeting allow public comment. Do you feel there is value in permitting public comment, and how would you structure such public comment if elected or in office? And I'll start with you, Ms. McArthur.
Well, I think this is something that could certainly be changed at the Commissioner's office. As a council person, we always had an agenda item on our agendas to allow for public comment. It didn't have to be necessarily germane to the subject being discussed by anybody on council. And you know, people want to be heard. You know, one of the problems we have currently with the commissioner's office is you have to be able to go to the meetings during the day. So it's very onerous to be able to get questions answered at times. But I would like to see a separate agenda item on the agenda for public comment. And then, of course, if there are questions during the course of the meeting, and I believe that those are being allowed now because I've asked some myself, I think that's good. And I think, you know, the public wants to be able to ask these questions, and it needs to be transparent and accessible to anybody who lives here and pays taxes.
Thank you. Mr. Spilleri.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks.
As far as public comment, I think that we go above and beyond the part of allowing public comment, because multiple times during the course of our meeting, we will take questions during our meeting. If somebody has an issue that they're not clear on, or they have a question while we have one of our department heads up at the table discussing issues, that's always a conversation that we engage with our public at all times. At the end of the meeting, we do it. Every time that we ask, are there any public comments, and are there any public comments? And we don't shut anybody down. We basically take whatever comments it is. So I'm not really sure where this you know, is being spoken of that we're not doing it. It doesn't have to be an agenda item on our paper, because we as county commissioners serve you. And that meeting is not our meeting. That meeting is your meeting that we're basically partaking in. And that's just how we do it all the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This question is around relationships, professional relationships. What strengths, I'll start with you, Mr. Spidalieri. What strengths do you bring to build effective relationships with fellow commissioners, other county officials, county agencies, and staff?
You know, I think that it's multifaceted for me. One of it being that I've been there for 12 years and just have had a lot of contacts. Number two, in the law enforcement world, there is such an enormous amount of attention right now with crime. Our fentanyl deaths have been at an all-time high, and this is not a problem that we solve just here in Geauga County. This is across the board, whether we're working with other law enforcement, whether we're working with other prosecutors. This is something that every day we are combating on our streets. I spent 5 days down at Cochise County, not for photo opportunities to be able to say I was at the border, but rather I was there for 5 days volunteering in an enforcement effort from 6 o'clock at night till about 4 in the morning. My unit alone, we took in custody 182 illegal immigrants. It's real, and it's coming here. It's here already. If we want to be blind to it, be blind to it. But I'm telling you, we have an issue, and it's very important to understand it.
Thank you. Last question, and I'm going to start with you, Ms. McArthur. If Geauga County were granted federal or state funds... Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped you. I want to hear your answer. So yes, I'm going to repeat it. Let me go back. What strengths do you build to bring effective relationships with fellow commissioners, other county officials, county agencies, and staff? And I apologize. Thank you.
No, that's okay. You know, I'm blessed to be able to have a lot of relationships with almost all the elected officials here, and I talk to them all on a regular basis, and many times I call them and ask some questions as a taxpayer, as someone who's interested in how things are running or going, and I have a lot of questions for a lot of them, and I have communication with almost all of them, including our judges. So I think it's really important to be able to, you know, have a good working relationship with all of our other elected officials. I was most recently on the Board of Elections, and we had an ongoing lawsuit with the commissioners. So one of my goals was to make sure that we resolved our differences. So I sat down, talked to our legal counsel and the other people on the board, and we were able to get a settlement agreement, a lot of which I wrote myself. And we sat down at the table with our lawyers and Commissioner Lennon, and we worked out our differences. So shortly after this election, we'll be in the new building.
Thank you. Okay, now last question, and this one is around grant money, and I'm going to start with you, Ms. McArthur. If Geauga County were granted federal or state funds earmarked for environmental projects, such as clean water initiatives, what would be your response?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, that would be your response? Wow. Okay, you don't even need a minute. You can have your full minute if you would like.
Well, I mean, I as the mayor of the city of Chardon, I belong to the Chagrin River watershed organization, and you know there were a lot of things that were being discussed. We have the Chagrin River that comes through Jaga. We got a lot of erosion at times and things. Were being discussed about repairing setbacks and all those kinds of interesting things. So we do have some issues here and there. I don't think there are anything major going on here with environmental things, but they can't crop up. So I think belonging in that partnership with Chagrin River Watershed is a great partnership, and we need to maintain that. And if they want to give us some federal money to make things better here, I say that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Spidalieri, do you want me to repeat the question? Or are you ready to go? Okay.
I think that thank you is unfortunately the common political answer to this, and it's not always the answer, because many federal grants come with a lot of strings attached to them. So you need to really pay attention to what your grants are going to be, because the restrictions that they could place on you could be everlasting and into perpetuity. So it's nice when somebody's dabbling $1 million bills in front of your face and you're saying thank you. Don't say thank you too fast until you really look into what you're getting, because you don't know what you're actually getting. And what I can tell you is this: as far as what we have done within our county here, we've taken grant programs for the Chardon Township situation, where we got some funding for that. We just finished a state funding project where we actually we're revitalizing something right here in the Bainbridge Township area, that we're going to be doing renovation of a reclamation of an old shooting range. So there are programs out there, but you just have to be really careful and cautious what you're getting into.
Thank you. Ms. McArthur, Mr. Spidalieri, thank you both so much on behalf of the League of Women Voters and the community for answering questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.